Good morning, Waldport High. This is Keegan.
And this is Keldon.
And you're watching Waldport Weekly. Today is September 19th and marks the first Waldport Weekly of the year.
This Friday, our lineup includes tips on how not to wreck our bathrooms, people's opinions on the Queen's death, and our recent assemblies, Oscar's Corner time, and finally a reminder to check your email for a poll this week. But now, to bathroom tips.
Today marks 8 days without bathroom escorts. To keep our bathrooms clean, here are some useful tips on how not to destroy the bathrooms.
Thank you, Keegan. Now onto our tips. Number 1. Don't shoot ink through a pen and splatter it on the bathrooms. Number 2. Don't rip the soap dispensers off the walls. And last, number 3. Don't shove a whole roll of toilet paper down the toilet.
I know this could be hard, but I believe together we could do this. Now to our report on the Queen's passing. So, my first question is, what are your first thoughts about the Queen's passing?
My first thoughts about Queen passing was of course, sadness.
Yeah.
And of course, this is gonna affect our vision and our thoughts about all the United Kingdom and about the royal family and how things are gonna work out.
Okay. And for my second question, how do you think this will affect the UK as a whole?
I think this is going to be a shock for everyone in the whole country, and there's definitely going to be some differences with the new king.
Okay. And my final question, how do you think the Queen's passing will affect the United States?
I don't think it will affect the United States that much.
Okay. Well, it's a nice interview. My first question for you is, what are your first thoughts about the Queen's passing?
I genuinely thought she was immortal. I thought she was a vampire who lived forever.
Okay.
It was shocking.
Okay. And my second question for you is, how do you think the Queen's passing will affect the UK?
I think they're going to be very devastated, and they're going to have to find someone else to run their country, and it's going to take a couple years, and some things are going to go downhill, like their economic system.
And for my third question, how do you think the Queen's passing will affect the US, if at all?
Snoop Dogg's not going to be allowed in that country anymore.
What are your first thoughts about the Queen's passing?
Honestly, it was kind of unbelievable because of the speculations of her being immortal.
Yeah.
But it really didn't affect me all much because I never really knew her.
Okay. So for my second question, how do you think the Queen's passing will affect the UK as a whole?
Probably very drastically because, the Queen has been, in power, well, not really in power because of the government, but she's been, there for, over, a century. So it's probably going to change it drastically.
Yeah.
Very scary.
And for my final question, how do you think the Queen's passing will affect the US, if at all?
Probably not that much because she wasn't really that connected to the US at all, so probably not much.
Okay. Touching. Now to assembly highlights. Joey and Trey were our MCs. Then the cheerleaders did their routine to Mickey and we introduced Claudio. People from Aspire and the Lions Club spoke to the students about opportunities to get involved, get help for scholarships, college, and such. We played a trivia game to get to know the staff. Congratulations to Piper for winning the trivia. Earlier that day, Mr. and Mrs. Stover played a newlywed game where they demonstrated their extreme compatibility. Last but not least, Mr. Richmond and Mr. S donned beautiful dresses while competing in the dance-off pants-off. What an assembly. Now to Oscar's Corner time. Truly poetic words from Oscar. Okay, lastly, here's a reminder to check your email this week for a poll. And with that concludes our time for today.
Thanks for watching, and goodbye.